Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is here. Not with Balake, but with Tory CHRISTMAN. How's it going, Tory?
It is good. How's it going with you?
Good. It's crazy to think this is the first time we're doing a chat on YouTube. I mean, admittedly, we've probably tried to do this like 5 times before, at least talked about doing it 5 times before. Not actually tried doing it. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be talking with you.
I mean, most of my viewers are probably familiar with you, but for those that are not, I will at least start out by showing them your YouTube channel, Tory Magoo 44. And you know if we were to,
do you know where my name comes from?
I feel like you told me before, but I do not remember.
It's in honor of my dad. Bunker in 2008 said, "This is from Anonymous." He put the webcam on my desktop, and he said, I said, "What am I going to do with that?" He said, "We're going to start a YouTube site." I said, "What am I going to do with the YouTube site?" And he said, "Well, let's create a video saying Tory Magoo has a YouTube site." And he said, "You've got to name it." And so my name is Tory. And my dad's nickname, he was on TV broadcasting for football. And I used to call him Mr. Magoo because he has little eyes like I have like these little eyes. He has like little tiny eyes. So I called him Mr. Magoo. And he was funny. So I called him that. And his football number, just so you see it, is 44. He played for the Chicago Cardinals.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is that an actual playing card?
Yeah. And, you know, Mark Plummer, who just passed away, bless his heart. I mean, nobody in Scientology ever even did anything about my dad. Mark Plummer went to a football store, I never even knew my dad had football cards. He has 4 of them, 2 for broadcasting, 2 for football.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know.
We got to get you a new computer and a mic and a camera.
Amen, brother. This is a fucking wreck. I mean, it's like some old, and I really apologize to your audience because Aaron was not late. I was, but it was this. I have a really old computer, and it's a pain in the ass. It really, it's like driving an old car. You know, it's just not good.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love how much easier it is when it just fires right up and the connection is great, and you got a good mic and you got a little earbud. It's gonna. The quality will blow your mind. So we'll get that. We'll get that figured out.
And then we have to do a second interview with it.
All right. Well, for those who aren't yet familiar with you, let's just start by saying, how long were you in Scientology and when did you get out?
I got in 1969 before most people were even a thought that are listening to this. And I woke up when I was 53. And I escaped out. I didn't even really realize, I honestly did not think they did fair game. I really didn't, even though I was a volunteer for the Office of Special Affairs, opening these phony accounts for the internet. But it was from my auditor who I trusted. And he'd said, "Look, we have to handle these critics on the internet." This was in the 90s. And I said, "Okay, what do you need?" And he said, "Open an account." And anyway, so I'd opened these accounts. I never looked on the internet because he said, "Don't look on the internet, Tory." One of our friends went insane. And he said she went insane because she was reading the internet. And that's how stupid I was. You know, it's just people are brainwashed in Scientology. And it's like, "Oh, okay, I believe you. All right." And it turned out they drugged her and reverse audited her. Auditing supposedly makes you better. Reverse auditing makes you worse. And I didn't find out that until I escaped out myself. But I was never reading the internet because I was too afraid to.
So they said that one of your mutual friends had started reading the internet about Scientology and they went crazy.
Bill Yachty, my auditor.
Is your computer about to explode, or have you worried about that noise?
I don't know. There went the light. I'm telling you, someone sent me that wonderful light, and it just goes off like that.
You probably made the same mistake I made. I thought I was getting the fancy lights by getting the battery operated lights. It turns out There's no reason to use batteries. Just plug that shit into the wall. Are you using a battery operated light?
No, it's something you have to plug in, but the cord is only this long, so I can't get it to shut up, Aaron. I know it's like the Three Stooges with me. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
goodness. How far are you in physical proximity to wherever DOA and streets are at the moment? Are we talking a mile, a block, 10-minute drive?
No,
I'm just
we're
curious.
probably a 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive.
Okay, well that's a long ways. Okay, so you got into Scientology in 1969 and you got out in 2000. Is that correct?
I escaped art in 2000. And I didn't really think they did that shit. They canceled my van. They canceled the plane. The vice president was at LAX. And honestly, and I tell people this, from LAX to Tampa, I went from being a Scientologist, OT7, to a critic willing to speak out about Scientology because I became an activist because of all the shit they did from LAX to Tampa.
Wow. That's incredible. There's so many places that we could start this conversation, but here's just off the top of my head. So you had some involvement in the protests back in the anonymous days, like 2008. Am I correct?
Definitely. They called me the night they put on the video. They called me.
Right. Okay. So you were involved in all that. You've been very involved and helpful in the protests in Los Angeles. Before I ask a question, I just want to make a statement for myself here. When these protests started, well, first of all, I thought they were incredible. I did everything I could on my channel to help draw attention to them just because I wanted to support what they were doing as much as I could. And then I thought, oh man, I should fly to LA and go do that with them. It looks like fun. And then I was like, I've got a flag 5 minutes away from me. And I had to ask myself, why is it that I'm more comfortable flying all the way across the country to go do something in LA than I am doing something right here in my own backyard 5 minutes away from my house? And I had to go, oh, you're really kind of afraid to do it, aren't you? And I was like, but those guys out there started doing it when they were alone. Like, so I was like, oh, you're being kind of a pussy, aren't you? And I'm like, and I had all sorts of reasons why, oh, it's different in LA than it is at Flag. And I'm like, no, you're just being a pussy, aren't you? And so I went down there, and because also where am I going with this? Oh, I realized that part of what I was running into mentally was this. When I was in Scientology, I know this is true when you were in Scientology, we thought so lowly of protesters. They were just pathetic. They were just scum. They were either PTS or they were SP. They were certainly unemployed losers who just had nothing better to do. But like we just thought so little of anyone who would protest outside of a Scientology org.
My story is different than that, but go on.
Your story's okay. There was a part of me that was like, oh no, if I go and do that, that's how they're going to think of me. And there was a part of me that I didn't quite realize still, for some reason, cared what they would think of me. Even though I'd been doing videos for years, I guess for some reason, I didn't care what they thought about my videos, but I did worry about I did care about what they would think about me protesting. And I'm like, if I show up, what am I even going to say? Like, what do I even have to say that I can't just say in one of my videos? Anyway, it was a weird thing for me to come to terms with and grapple with and get over. And that's a big, long preamble to just asking you, what are your thoughts on the protests in general, or the value of them, or why you go out there and do them yourself?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me clarify a couple of things, because it's kind of a long story, but it's important. We moved from LA to Clearwater in 1979. At that time, Scientology had put someone into the mayor's office, Gabe Gazaros. Are you familiar with that story?
Yeah.
Okay. And they basically screwed him up. And this guy, Richard Tinney, was running for city commissioner. And so there were only 4 people. Milt Wolf called me into his office, and he said they had people honk out Scientology. There were hundreds of people against Scientology at the time. And his whole pitch was save sparkling Clearwater, stamp out Scientology, and don't trust Scientologists because they're liars, right? So Milt Wolf calls me into the office. He goes, look, we are liars. And I go, what are you talking about? Because he goes, you need to handle this story. And I'm like, me? This is like Nazi Germany. And, you know, I can't handle this by myself. And he goes, well, there's only 4 people here and you're it. And he said, basically, Hubbard was going to go to Georgia. They found out the FBI was coming to plant drugs on the ship, which is a typical Scientology thing. So they scooted around to Clearwater, bought the Fort Harrison under a lie, and thus they are doing this whole pitch about their liars. So you have to handle it. You have to handle it. And so I did. I went out, and it took me, I don't know how long it took me, but I basically got the guy voted out of office. I didn't do anything bad, anything illegal. I just went and talked to people and said, look, this is my religion. What are you doing? So I was used to talking to people out on the street. Do you see what I mean? And they saw, wow, this chick is good at this. So now I went from 0 with OSA, because I was nothing, to Call Tory. You know, we moved back to LA after that. And everybody was like, call Tory, she can handle it, right? So I did become this, like, send her out to handle the critics. So I was sent out often to handle the critics. And a lot of the time they'd leave. And I'd go back in, and Osa would say, what did you do? You got him to leave. And, you know, they back then, Xenu, Xenu, was a big secret word, right? But they had a leather gigantic Xenu sign that was across the by Celebrity Center across the street, you know, so they wanted that sign gone. And I said, look, I asked this one guy, I said, look, you know, because we couldn't get him to go away. And I said, did you ever have a party when you were young? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay. And what if some people were walking around like you guys are with signs saying your mother's a whore? Would that affect your party? And he looks at his friend and he goes, all right, pack up the sign, let's go. That was it. I mean, it was just sort of like, and I went back in and they said, what did you do? And I said, I just talked to them. They're just people. And so I started to realize, you know, and a lot of them were yelling at me, right? Facts about Hubbard and how bad he was. And I was like, I never heard that. I just shut it out. And one guy came up to me and he said, okay, I just have to ask you one question. If you're free, why can't you read certain books? And I said, oh, I can read whatever I want. I just don't want to. And he just kept saying it. He kept coming back and he said it very nicely. So he kind of taught me what works. And the critics taught me what works and what doesn't work when you're out. Do you see what I mean? So that's why people say, wow, you're so good with these people. And I go, that's because I've been inside and, you know, come out with critics yelling at me. I know what it feels like. It doesn't work. You know,
so you hit him with the old "your mother's a whore" routine. Works every time.
I'm telling you, they packed up a leather Xenu.net that was across a crosswalk, you know, like a whole 4th Street thing. It was that long. And they packed it up, rolled it up, and left.
Okay, let me ask you this. At that time, what, because I want to know why that line worked on you. So, like, what books were you?
Osa didn't say it to me. I thought it up myself.
No. I mean, when the guy said to you, if you're free, what book? Why can't you read certain books? At that time, what books did you know you weren't allowed to read?
Just the first 3. You know, it was like Barefaced Messiah, Madman and Messiah, A Piece of Blue Sky. Those were the only 3 books that were out that I knew of.
Got it. Okay. And so that particular protester who said that to you, was he a former member, or was he just a well-informed, guy?
He was he was never in, but what worked on me was kindness. He was very kind to me. He really wanted an answer to the question. It wasn't like he was going, why can't you read certain books? You know what I mean? Which would not have worked to me. But he really wanted an answer. And he used asking the question more than one time, and he kept coming back. So I came home and I had Dalmatians up on my wall, which are black and white, right? And one of them had a pink collar, and underneath it in pink, it said, dare to be different. And I laid in my bed and I thought, you know what? I'm about as different as a rock. You know, it was like the beginning of my realizing, you know, this is bullshit. You know, I'm not free.
Yeah. Question: do you think in today's day and age, would the book question still work, or maybe something like, if you're free, why can't you watch whatever you want to watch? Because these days, what would it be? Going Clear, Scientology in the Aftermath, South Park, whatever.
I stood and talked to a security guard last night. We were protesting. And I walked up to him and I said, look, man, I'm just going to tell you something. You did not get into Scientology to stop free speech. I know that. He didn't leave. He stood there. And I said, I didn't either. I'm OT7. I was in for 30 years. And once I realized I couldn't speak, you know, I couldn't say what I wanted to say. Look at you. You can't even say hello to me. I look at me. They're saying I'm now an undercover CIA agent. They told the public that. The guy was going to give him $5,000. And I said, be careful. They're liars. They're going to say lies about you. Just be careful. And they took him inside, locked the door at LA Org. And I called him the next day. He left. And I said, did you give him the $5,000? And he goes, hell no. He goes, they told, and I said, just out of curiosity, what did they say about you? Because he came out and he was like real white. He looked really freaked out. And I said, what did they say about me? And he said, they told me that you're a top secret undercover CIA agent. And I thought, he said, that's why I didn't give him the $5,000. I was going to give it to him. But once they said that, I thought, bullshit.
What do you see as the differences or the similarities between the protests that you were doing with Anonymous and the protests that you're out there doing with everyone today?
Cameras. 100%. I mean, you saw it yourself when you did the protest. Remember, I walked down and sat on that fence? And that was...
Oh, yeah.
And that guy did say, you have to leave. Remember, he said, get, and I said, look, I'm 76. I just want 2 minutes to sit here. Now, normally they never, ever. I used to have a joke. Have you seen Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
You know, so remember the corn where the guy put the hand in the corn? So I would put my feet over their trespassing line, just put my foot over it, like the Field of Dreams. And they would go, get off our property. You're trespassing, right? I swear to God. And Anonymous used to go, she shut them down in 3 minutes, you know, because I'd just step onto L. Ron Hubbard Way and everybody gone. But now you saw that guy. I sat out there quite a while before he came out and kicked me out. And they had 10 cameras on him. And I know what happened. He went inside and his senior said, I don't give a shit what she does. Just stop going out there and saying you're trespassing. You know, just leave her alone. You know what I mean? Because Drew and I went and sat on their bench, which they normally say, get up, Tory, you can't sit on the bench. We sat on other walls. They normally say you can't sit on those. I went and knocked on the LA Org door. I went and talked to a guy who dropped his mother off. I said, is that your mother that you just dropped off? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, first of all, I'm going to give you something that's going to give you the information they're not going to tell you. And I handed him my card. This is a card that I always carry, and I give it out every single day. And it's got websites on it and information on it so that people can do research past me. Do you see what I mean? Because I realized they, you know, maybe they'll believe me, maybe they won't. But I always would say, you don't have to believe me. Look at both sides. But Scientology has sort of blanketed the internet now, if you haven't noticed. So stuff that we used to say, go look at that, and it would pop right up. Now it's all Scientology shit.
You think so?
I do. I think a lot. Now your site is different because, you know, you know, there's certain individuals where you can still go to the sites. And maybe it's getting better.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about.
Like films that they used to have, the truth about Scientology, something like that, and it showed the people jumping off of roofs and stuff like that. Those things are gone. You can't find them. They're just, they've blanketed them.
Yeah. Okay, so you said the difference is the cameras. And how does that...
That's what I think.
And so how does that change it?
Well, because first of all, they're not just cameras. It's cameras with thousands of people watching, just like your site. This isn't just you and me. See, in the old days, it was kind of anonymous. It was however many people were there. That's how many were there. And they would, I don't know if you know this, but the second protest, they put up an entire gigantic television, like a screen, blocking all of L. Ron Hubbard Way up like 2 stories. And they played Tom Cruise videos all day long. Now, Anonymous was behind that picketing, but nobody could see it at the complex. And back then there were people at the complex. See, now there's no people anywhere. So what they're doing, I have no idea. I really don't.
Yeah. How about what do you think of is the purpose of the protesting? How do you see it? How do you think about it?
Well, I think for me, the protesting is educating the public so they don't join. That's the biggest thing. Because getting people out, I think the guys that are in, it's kind of, I could be wrong, but I don't think I think a lot of them are older and they're going to stay in. They're sort of like, what am I going to do if I leave? That's just what I think.
It's true. It's true.
So I think my job, every day I give out those cards that I just showed you. Every day. If I'm in a grocery store, I see a young kid, I go, just so you know, I just want you to know your life's in danger. And they go, really? And I go, yeah, here's my card. I give them the card right away. So they've got it. I go, put it in your wallet so you don't get fired. And they go, really? And I go, yeah, if your boss is a Scientologist, they're not going to be happy with you having this card because it says Xenu.net on it, right? It's got Xenu on there.
Wait, who are you saying this to?
Anybody, any young people, because they're after young people. And here in LA, the Hispanic community is huge. And so a lot of younger people working in grocery stores, wherever, are Spanish speaking people. Maybe they're Puerto Rican, maybe there's something else. But I ask them, do you speak 2 languages? And they go, yeah. And I go, okay, your life is in danger. And they go, why? And I go, you're 15 minutes away from Scientology. And they're after young people that speak 2 languages. They are. Why are you laughing?
Oh, well, I was trying to understand, like, so you're talking about non-science, you're saying this to bilingual non-Scientologists who work at
anywhere I am.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't even matter if they're 15 minutes from Scientology. That's just what I say. But I don't give a shit. It's like because I know Scientology will weasel around and get them anyway. That's what they're at.
Oh, you're just kind of saying this as like to generate interest or curiosity.
Yeah, it opens the conversation, and they're like, then they always go like this. I thought Scientology was weird, but I've been thinking about joining it. And I go, so read that card, study that card. And if they're going to join, I tell them a little bit more about my story.
I see. It's just a funny way to actually get them to learn about Scientology and what it really is.
It started out as what I was talking to people that were 15 minutes away from Scientology, but it was such a, long fall blowdown, meaning, really big, like, wow, I got to, this is interesting.
Okay. I got to tell you, when you say that and when I think about that, all I can think of is the idea of Jessica Palmadessa going around handing out cards to random people saying your life is in danger and just videoing the whole thing. It would be hilarious if you guys went out and did that together.
I know.
Your life is in danger.
I know.
It is? What's happening? You are 10 minutes away from Scientology. Did you know that? Take this card. Take this. It's like something out of the Matrix.
I know, but it's kind of true. If you know Scientology, they're stuck. They have no one. They have no public. They've gotten rid of all the missions. Do you know that all the red and green volumes are out of the orgs now?
Well, I mean, the green volumes have to be back, right? Because they just released the new golden age of admin.
Right.
So,
but I'm just saying that.
But you know what's funny? You know what's funny, Tori? I heard that they had the event where they released the new golden age of admin. They fired back like 8 of the new command teams, but I have not seen a single photo of the new management volumes.
No.
Not one. Any of you under the radar guys, snap me a photo if you can of the new management volumes, the new OEC, FEBC vols, because I haven't seen these things, and that's weird.
Well, as soon as they came out with the basic books, Tory said this is a test to see if Scientologists will let them change the tech. Because I came from the keeping Scientology working, never change a thing, from Hubbard, right? Not an apostrophe, not a comma, nothing, right? But now they came, Miscavige said, oh, I'm coming out with the basic books. And I said, this is a test. Because they have to. See, I worked with OSA. And OSA said, our goal is to become a real religion, to be thought of as one of the real religions. So I know how big that is for them. We went to different churches. I went with them. And they'd say to these other churches, look, you guys have to help us. Or see all these critics that are out there? They're going to be coming to your church next.
I think David Miscavige is jealous of the Mormon church. It's just my personal hunch. I mean, the Mormons have lost more money in their couch cushions than Scientology has ever had in the bank. Like,
really?
Oh my God. They just found like $180 billion bank account that the government didn't know about. Like, honestly, the Mormons have so much money, and I think David Miscavige is jealous of that. And the difference is there's a lot of Mormons and there's not a lot of Scientologists.
Right.
And Mormons have big families, and Scientologists can't afford to have big families.
Even if they leave, they come back.
Who comes back?
Mormons. Like they've had them. Part of their program is they have to leave and live life and then decide if they want to come back, and they do.
Oh, is that the same thing as going off on mission, or is that like something else?
I think it's something else, but anyway, the point is they stay.
Are you sure you're thinking of the Amish?
No.
Okay.
But anyway, I could be wrong. I went to a Congress with Mormons. They're the guys that screw the little girls, right?
What? Jesus. What? Oh, no, Warren Jeffs. You're thinking of the fundamentalist. That Warren Jeffs has the fundamentalist branch of the Mormon Church.
Okay, that's it. And that guy was there. He was one of the elders. And we went to lunch with him. Why are you making that face?
Are you sure?
I'm positive I was with Steve Hassan. It was Steve Hassan, me, and this guy from either Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons. It was one or the other. Whichever one of them.
I think they would be offended that you don't know the difference. I'm teasing you. I know. So, but honestly, it really depends. It really matters greatly which one that was, because
so the Mormons don't. You're positive.
They don't what?
Screw young girls. This was on the news here, and why are you laughing? Remember the young girl who called the police and said, "I'm in a cult. Come get me."
I mean, I know that happens everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that doesn't happen everywhere.
There's pedophiles everywhere.
I'm not talking about pedophiles. I'm talking about a cult where this is part of the cult. That the mothers, this girl called the police, and this was on the national news.
You are talking about the FLDS, which is and the FLDS is run by Warren Jeffs, and it's the fundamentalist. It's the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It says the founder is okay, let me just Google Warren Jeffs. Warren Jeffs. Yep. He was convicted and all that good stuff. American religious cult leader, felon, convicted of the crimes against children. He is the leader of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is a polygamous cult and a subsect of an offshoot of the actual Mormon Church. So we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah. It was. That's what I thought.
You nailed it.
And so that girl came on TV and said, she called the police, said, "Come help me." They got all the mothers out. They interviewed all the kids, all the mothers. The mothers knew that this was happening to their young daughters. I was stunned. I was like, I can't. As a mother, I was just stunned. And then they all went back in. They all.
Oh my God.
It was like, oh my God. So I went to lunch. Steve and I went to this cult conference with this one guy who was an elder, and their routine, he explained this, is, let's say they have sex with a younger girl. The girl goes and tells her mother and says, "Look, these guys, this is what happened. Here's how they handle it. The guy that screwed her and his best friend go into a room with the girl that got raped, and they say, okay, tell us what happened. And these two guys decide if it's rape or not. That's how it works. So that guy explained that to us, and we went to lunch, and I said, I'm going to tell you something, man. I want you to listen to this clearly. Scientology's bad, but you guys are fucking nuts. I really
It's true.
I mean, it's like, that is,
I mean, I'm sure there's a whole group of people who, you know, look at what we're doing is like, why do you guys waste all your time on Scientology? There's much worse things. And I go, yeah, I didn't grow up in those other things. I grew up in Scientology. Sorry, I'm staying in my lane.
and Scientology's bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's awful, but and that's why I speak out about it. But and they continue to be awful. You know, last night they were awful. You know, they're not.
Yeah.
They cannot get. I have told David Miscavige since I left, there are a few things you could do and you would be very successful. And do you think they'll ever listen? No.
Yeah.
Not ever.
Anna has a comment, which is exactly what I was thinking that you said. I thought that Tori said that she and Steve Hassan went to lunch with Warren Jeffs.
No, no,
okay.
no. From a member, an elder of that group.
Yeah, I get it. You know, I got to tell you, the idea, and this is something that even as myself, as a child growing up in Scientology, I knew I didn't like auditing. I knew I didn't like receiving it. I knew I didn't like giving it, but I still didn't think of certain things in certain ways until Serge
Sure.
opened my eyes to it. And I know you know Serge, but here, so just this one aspect. Having children train as professional auditors and be forced to interrogate adults about matters, even like sexually abusing other children, that honestly, that is right up there with the worst type of abuse that you can do to a child.
That is awful. See, Serge thinks I knew about this, but I didn't. I honestly didn't. I never saw it. I never received it. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have going into auditing with the kid. You know, it's like, no. I mean, the closest I came to children was right when I was leaving in 2000. I redid the student hat. I was OT7. They made us all redo the student hat. And a bunch of kids were they were like probably, I say kids, but they were probably like 14, 15, 18. I don't know what age they were, but they were really uneducated. And they really did. They were so uneducated. They had the encyclopedia in this course room, and they were going, "This is Washington, D.C." You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, we're going to go in session with these kids that don't even know where Washington, D.C. is. You know, it was just like, not me, not going to happen ever.
I mean, look, the truth is, like, every Scientologist, depending on what org you were in, would have been aware of the fact that children doing training were celebrated as basically being superstars. This is just, it's almost like a tenet of Scientology is that, we're all immortal spiritual beings, and bodies are just meat sacks, and age is just a consideration, and time is just a consideration, and all this kind of stuff. And, even though I didn't do my auditor training at the young age, like, for example, that Serge did, the fact is I was supposed to, meaning when I was recruited at the Philly org, I was recruited to be a grad 5 CCRD sex checker.
And how old were you?
13 years old.
Oh my God.
And the entire time I was at Flag, I was there on the training tip to be a grad 5 FPRD sex checker. I said CCRD sex checker, grad 5 FPRD sex checker. And most of the kids who were on the training program were there to be grad 5 sex checker auditors. And none of us got switched to become supervisors and word clearers until like the last 6 months, so that David Miscavige could do the whole golden age of tech thing. So the truth is, the fact, even though I didn't actually do my auditor training at that age, everyone on the Flag land base knew that there was like an army of 200 kids, or at least 100. At one point, I was in charge of all of the minors. As a minor, me and Kylie Rose Pierce. Kylie Rose Pierce was the minor. As a minor, she was the minor IC, and I was the deputy minor IC. And we would go home early.
They called you a minor and IC?
This was towards the end of the program. She was the minor IC. I was the deputy minor IC. Yeah. Absolutely. Because someone decided that for legal reasons, we all had to go home like an hour early. But instead of like going home and going to bed, we went home and did marching.
What was marching for?
Close order drilling, just, teamwork, discipline, left, 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 right, left.
You are kidding. And
I'm dead serious.
Were okay with that?
What's that?
Your parents were okay with that?
Well, my mom was there as an at-org trainee.
God.
I mean, she was still on course because she wasn't a minor. Like, I mean,
you didn't know you were marching.
Oh, it wasn't a secret. I mean,
I've
all the at-org trainees. Here's the thing: all the at-org.
I've ever heard of this. I've never heard of it in 30 years of being in Scientology. I've never heard of marching.
But it's not like, well, there's a Sea Org thing. I mean, it's not like the minors were the only ones who did marching. All the at-org trainees would do marching. It's just that since we went home early for a period, we would do that's like one of the things we were assigned to do was marching. So,
yeah.
I mean, the only reason they were sending us home early is because I guess the authorities had gotten wind that there was like one or 200 kids on the base training, 120 hours a week. And someone was like, maybe we should send them home a little early.
Wow.
I mean, I was 15 at the time. I was 15 when I finished my flag training.
Yeah.
That's when I finished. I'd been there for years. Been there since I was, 13, 14, and 15. Oh, I mean, same as everyone else. You're up at like 7:30. You get your exercise muster.
What you wake up and go, wait a minute, this is bullshit.
Oh, not until 2009, really, when the Tampa Bay Times did their big expose. Interviewing. I was still inside. I mean, you couldn't help but read it. I was out of the Sea Org by this time. Wow. Everybody read that, whether they admitted it or not. I mean, the Tampa Bay Times is publishing interviews with Mike Rinder and Marty Rathbun and Tom DeVocht, and I think it was Jeff Hawkins, and was it even Don? There was something Don Jason escaping from the Freewinds like with a freaking rolling pin down the mooring lines. It's like Don Jason was the chief off FSO. Debbie Cook is out of the Sea Org. I mean, shit was wild back in 2009.
That was after Anonymous. And I had been interviewed. Like a journalist called me a few months ago and said, do you have an in with the media? And I said, no. Why do you ask me that? And she said, because everywhere I go on the internet, your name comes up, being interviewed. And I said, that's because for 8 years, no one would speak out. It was me and 4 other people that would speak out. And I only put my name on the internet because I only thought there were 50 people on the internet. So I thought, I'll put my name and phone number up here. The 50 people can call me, right?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying from LAX to Tampa, I realized it isn't 50 people, Tory.
Okay, so back then, not to get on too many tangents, but this is just how these conversations go. Who were like the other 2 or 3 people that were like the ones you thought?
There's only Mary Wallersheim, Gerry Armstrong, and I'm not sure who the 4th one was. I'm not, but it was like a handful. I think Arnie was also.
Oh, Arnie Lerma.
Yeah.
But by the way, I reached out to Gerry and offered to interview him on my channel a couple months ago.
Sure. And what did he say?
At first he said yes. And then when he found out I hadn't already read his website, he was kind of upset. And I said, I'm not going to read your website. I just want to do an interview. Like tell all my viewers about your website.
Yeah.
And he said he had to get something done and we'd revisit it. And I just never heard back from him.
Ask him again, because I think he really, really needs to be interviewed. And nobody even knows his name. And we would not be having this conversation if it was not for Gerry Armstrong. So every time I protest and even mention his name, and people go, "Who's that?" I think, shit, we gotta somehow at least let people know this guy took the information from Hubbard.
Well, that's the reason I reached out to him. Is it had started to dawn on me that I had a lot of really negative ideas about Gerry Armstrong, and I'm like, God, I have an awful lot of negative ideas for a guy I've never met, don't know, and have never spoken with. And then I realized all of the ideas I had about Gerry basically came from one person. And I was like, maybe it's time to talk to Gerry himself. And because look, the word in our community is that Jerry's a total like lunatic who's gone crazy. And I'm like, when I talk to him, he doesn't sound like a lunatic who's gone crazy. Why do I think that?
That's OSA.
Well, it's not OSA. Well, actually, it is OSA. You're right.
Of course it is. Of course it is. They've been after him since he took the materials. They've been suing him. They've been after him. They've been on him.
Let's just say the people who left OSA still say the same things about him. But it occurred to me that all my ideas about Gerry just came from one person, and I was like, hell, let's talk to the guy directly. But I don't want to have to read hundreds of pages or study up to talk to a guy. I just want to talk to the guy. I'm not going to do a bunch of homework to talk to a guy. So, but I want to give him. I'll have a 4-hour chat with him. The reason I reached out to him, I saw that he did a video and he had some really strong and clear ideas about the way to go after tax exemption. And the truth is, there's probably a dozen ways to go after tax exemption. But Gerry has very specific ideas on what will work. And I said, well, look, let me help him get his ideas out to anyone who might care. Yeah. And that's the only reason I want to talk to him, really. And also, I'm sure.
Say that. You know what I mean? Say, look, I know I asked you and we didn't get back together, but this is my intention, is you have very specific ideas. I have read some of them and I want to talk to you. We need to get this done. I mean, that's the main thing that needs to happen.
It'll happen. It'll happen. The other person that I want to get on and talk to is Jesse Prince. I met Jesse once in Vegas at a book event. Yeah. And I was in email touch with him less than a year ago. Anyway, I'm going to keep trying to make that happen as well.
He's on Facebook, so you can always email him via Facebook.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I don't know. He moved to Long Beach and kind of went out of touch with a lot of people, but I try to stay in touch with him because I really love Jesse.
Yeah.
He gave me a tip. Everybody was attacking me. When I left for 8 years, people were attacking me 365 days a year, 24/7. I mean, they hired Barbara Schwartz and a couple other people, and they were just flat out writing lies about me from day one of me leaving. And I knew it was Yachty. It started with Yachty because he said, Tory thinks everyone's OSA. I said, I don't think everyone's OSA, but all these people bought it except Andreas. And they said, Andreas, don't talk to her. She's really dangerous. She's really with OSA. And he said, look, I'm in Norway. I'm using words on the internet. She can't hurt me. You know what I mean? And he was really cool about it. It was like, thank God for some people that have, stuck, just listen to their heart instead of all this bullshit, because it's easy to get caught up in the bullshit. And that's what it is.
It's also interesting about being paranoid about people being OSA is, the truth is anyone could be OSA. There's no point worrying about it.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Here's the thing. And I worked with them. They only have 3 goals. They're very simple goals. Distract off of LRH, David Miscavige, the Church of Scientology. That's number 1. Mm-hmm. So let's say you get onto a thread and you're like talking about LRH, David Miscavige, and then it immediately goes to golfing or something else. All you have to do is repost the original thing about LRH. Do you see what I mean? And you will see. If it isn't a troll, it'll go back to LRH. If it is a troll, they're going to keep posting golfing and something else. You see what I mean?
Interesting. Totally.
And their second one is divide and conquer. Get you against me, me against you. And that was going on for a little while. I was like, all right, I'm not talking to Aaron. That's it. I was like kind of ticked off at you. And believe me, it was based on a bit of truth. But I looked at it and I thought, this is an OSA product. And that's why I'm saying I don't believe you. I know that the second gens are like, oh, no, fuck OSA. Who cares? But if you're in a football game, you've got to know the rules or you're not going to win the game. That's just all it is. Basketball, football, baseball, you got to know the rules. And I'm just saying they play a game that's a hardcore game. And it's easy to stick around it. You know, stay away from us versus them. If I have a problem with you, I'm going to call you up and talk to you. For me, it was like, I'm just going to see how it plays out. And I went, you know what? Fuck it.
Wait, whoa. You said if you got a problem with me, you're going to call me up and talk to me, but I didn't know you had a problem with me.
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't work, you know, if you don't call someone up. But I didn't have a big problem with you. I didn't. So it was sort of like, it wasn't enough where I was like, it's my problem. Do you see what I mean? Like there's
totally.
There's a couple of things right now going on where I say, let those people talk instead of us on the internet. Do you see what I mean? If I had a real problem with you, I would have called you up and said, look, you know, I got a problem with this. But I didn't. I'd call you up and we talked a few times and I thought, okay, you know, it's like, this is some like, you know what I mean? That's how it feels. It's like,
let me say two things. One, well, I can't say them at the same time. So I'll say both of these and then we'll tackle them. You mentioned something about the second gens have this idea like, oh, screw OSA. I'm not totally sure what you mean about that, but I want to explore that in a second. But I want to tell you what I mean when I say there's no point worrying about it. No matter what noise or bullshit is going on, I'm just going to keep doing more videos about Scientology. So like, no matter whether OSA's got spies on me, no matter whether they're stirring up shit, no matter whether they've got operatives, it's like, I got my camera, I got my mic. You can't stop me from doing videos. So good luck. Well, like, what do I care if people are snooping around or causing trouble? You can't stop me from doing videos.
No, so I agree with you. No, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. And obviously I have bigger stats than you, not as far as volume. You have bigger stats than me, but I've been online longer than you, way longer.
No, but I just meant when I say who cares about it, all I mean is they can try all they want, but they can't stop us from doing what we're doing. But to your point though, they're very good. They're very dedicated. They're very well funded. And they're never going to give up. So I'm not saying that if I knew someone was OSA, I wouldn't care. What I'm saying is there's no point constantly worrying about it because, like, I don't know, you can worry about anything. It doesn't get you anywhere.
I agree with you. I'm not saying worry about it. I'm just saying be aware of it. Like if your goal is to get your football through that thing, if you go, well, I don't know, I'm just going to throw it somewhere, you're not going to win. Do you see what I mean? And this is just be aware of these knuckleheads and that they only have 3 goals. So it's not like trying to find out who is. I don't give a shit about that. You're right. You know, you could be on that forever. It's just if you're on something and you're posting something that's important and all of a sudden it goes to some thing about dog shit, go back to the thing that's important. That's all you have to do is bring it back.
That's right. And I realize the example that you're giving right now is very somewhat specific to, you know, the message boards back in the day where OSA's goal was to divert the conversation off of, you said L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology, and you said something else. L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah. Okay. So when you said OSA has 3 goals, you said distract the conversation off of L. Ron Hubbard, David Miscavige, Scientology.
Anything hot that they don't want heard. Anything hot.
Right. Divide and conquer. And was there a third item?
The third one was just slime the area. And I found this out right before I left. And I said, why would you do that? And Yachty told me, he said, think about it, Tori. If an area just has a bunch of shit on it, who's going to want to post there? And they have done that. They have done that. They have successfully done that.
And that is something they could definitely try to do at the YouTube space in general to make it look like there's so much fighting going on YouTube that who would want to start a channel. But I'll tell you, because I'm an eternal optimist, I'd be like, I don't care if no one else starts a channel from here on forever. I'm still going to be doing videos every single day, and anyone else who wants to do it is going to do it. And so I go, they can try to do whatever the hell they want, but I feel like they've kind of met their match with YouTube. Am I just being youthfully naive and optimistic?
Well, first of all, let me say I want to clear up the thing about the second gens because I really like the second gens. You're a second gen, right? Or are you a third gen?
Second gen.
So I really like that whole group. And I don't think they all do that. I've just read some people where they'll go, who cares about OSA? And it's like, I just don't think, I think it spreads an idea where people aren't aware.
Can I say something and let me know if this is what you mean?
Say it.
Are you talking about the way some second gens respond to the phrase? Let's say someone's complaining about another former Scientologist, and let's say someone goes, oh, "You shouldn't do that. OSA would love it," and they go, "Who gives a shit what OSA would love?" Is that what you're referring to?
No, but that's a good point.
Okay, because I do agree that telling people they shouldn't do or say X, Y, and Z because it's what OSA would want.
No, I agree
some-
with that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you can't live on their rules. I totally agree
Okay.
with the second gens on that. It's like
Yeah,
we're not going to live by their rules. Fuck them. You know, we're the
Right.
ones that are exposing their abuses, and that's the thing. It's like just keep exposing the abuses. That's my thing. Years ago, I was against everything. I when I left, I was against Hubbard, Miscavige, the tech, you name it. And I was online pounding away, and they came on and said, "You're a religious bigot." And I said, "No, I'm not." You know, I tried to fight them for a while, and I was like, you know, I need to look this up. And I realized I was sounding like a religious bigot. And so that's when I changed to I don't care if you want to pay your money and believe in Xenu, do it. I agree it's abusive and it's stupid and it's a waste of money. But if people do that all the time with all kinds of religions and shit, not that Scientology is a religion, because they're not, they're a fraudulent business. But the point is, if you want to buy into a fraudulent business, there's a lot of them around and people do it all the time. But I expose the human rights abuses because those are undeniable. Do you see what I mean? And that's why even for Serge, I hope he fans out a little bit, because if he only has one thing, they'll figure out a way to fuck him up on it. They will.
But when you're talking about focusing on abuse of children in Scientology,
right? And I think,
but what's interesting about focusing on that? Well, it's the similar thing to focusing on human rights abuses. Actually, let's chew on this for a little bit. Theoretically, if David Miscavige really cared about people, or honestly even cared about the long-term survival of Scientology, he would figure out how to change the organization in ways that the human rights abuses just stopped.
Right.
But, and again, let's just like sort of do a little thought experiment here. Would it ever be possible for Miscavige to make so much of a change in Scientology internally that that minors weren't allowed to train as auditors? Because I don't think he could ever pull that one off.
Really?
Well, how do you explain as a Scientology leader, knowing Scientologist belief in the eternal Thetan, or the immortal Thetan, how would you explain to Scientologists why children weren't allowed to train as auditors? Could you do it just by saying, "Hey guys, it's legal problem"?
It's a legal issue, and it's just you know, we have to protect the children. You know, I think he could switch gears on it. I mean, the fact that he's taken the green and red volumes out of every fucking room in the world, you don't think he could change children and go, "Look, this is a legal issue, kids. Wake up."
It's true. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
I've been fighting them forever since they were babies. I was going to executives going, "These children need to be with their parents. I get it. They're on post." I was in the Sea Org for a very small time. Did you know that?
I think I knew that.
I was in it, and because I have epilepsy and I take medicine, and I said, "Look, I need to get a refill on my medicine." And they routed me to some 18-year-old kid. And he said, "Well, you know, we're the top 10% of the planet. We don't take medicine. You know, you're going to use Dianetics and vitamins." And thank God my mom stayed on it, because I lost my short-term memory. I'm doing pretty good on it today, but a lot of times I forget what I'm talking about. And I when I go to give a speech, I tell them about this, and I say someone in the audience has to remember what I'm talking about, because I'm like a branch on a tree, and if I get off onto a little branch, I can't get back. And
well, you've been doing a great job tonight.
Yeah, tonight's worked out good, but I did one recently, and I said, "What was I talking about?" And this guy kiddingly goes, Scientology. And the whole place burst out laughing. But, you know, they help me. Everyone helps me with it because it's just one of those things where that's from Scientology. They fucked up my memory for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So I know when Serge talks about his abuse, I have mine. You know what I mean? A lot of people in Scientology have their own personal abuses that's one of the reasons I started speaking out was I thought I don't want people with medical issues to join Scientology because they're awful. I mean, I was treated like a degraded being for 30 years.
Well, you know, now that you mentioned that, I mean, Scientology, particularly the C organization, is getting to a point where one of their biggest problems is their elderly members.
Right.
And they don't have anywhere to send these folks. And they're just, I mean, it actually just occurred to me that having you there, I mean, you said you're 70, 76?
76.
I mean, that could you imagine if you ran into a whole bunch of these older Sea Org members and you're like, how many more are you gonna keep working until you die?
They are. I wouldn't even say anything to them. I mean, where are they going to go? You know what I mean? They're really. I mean,
the SPTV Foundation will help them get somewhere and live out the rest of their years in comfort.
But Scientology is third party that. Meaning they've come in and said shit about SPTV. I know it means nothing, but I'm just saying in their heads, like people, they put my name and phone number up on a porn site, Aaron. And these and these porn guys, not you.
I'm sorry for that. I have to apologize for that. That was me. No, I'm just kidding.
But these porn guys started calling me and they sound very similar to brand new people who leave about me. Because people
what was it like for a good time, call Tory and they put your number up?
They put it up. And these people would call. How did you know it? How did you know it?
That's insane.
Well, how did you know for a good time, call Tory?
That's just a known line for a good time call.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what that was the exact quote for a good time, call Tory. And they had all this shit that I would do. And most of it, I didn't even know what it was.
Did you have to word clear it? Did they call you like demand?
But these guys would call me up and they sounded as scared as Scientologists when they leave. They're like, is this Tory? And I'm like, yeah. and they're really frightened, right? I mean, the Scientologists, and I'm like, yeah, don't worry. It's really me, and I'm not going to report it.
They probably had the DSAs of every org go to all the local truck stops and just write your name on the bathroom doors.
Well, these guys called me, and here's what happened. You know what IRC is? Internet Relay Chat.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a bar on the internet for anyone who hasn't been to one. And you go in, and it's like, Tory, Aaron, hi, come on in, and you're talking to people. So my internet relay chat had mostly computer geeks in it. So now these porn guys are calling me and going, hello. And I'm like, okay, I get it right away that they say a few things and I got to look, I escaped out of a cult and they're using me to get to you. So I apologize. And I'm just going to tell you, good luck on your hunt. And that's it. And they'd say, okay, thank you. And we'd hang up. I was just very, very kind to them because I felt bad about it. And I didn't want, and they have my own phone number. You know what I mean? I didn't want them to get pissed off at me. So they would hang up. So finally enough people called that I went over on IRC and they said, okay, see if you can get a URL. And so I said, which I didn't even know what that was, but Dave Turetsky taught me how to do it. So I go over, I get this guy and he's like, hey, Tory, I'm so-and-so, I saw your thing on For a Good Time, Call Tory. And I thought, okay, this is the guy. And I said, look, can you give me the URL for that? And he goes, yeah, sure. So he copies it, sends it to me. I copy it, send it to Dave, who's a professor. It's, what is it? Carnegie Mellon. Yeah. But he's also a critic of Scientology. And a bunch of other critics were on there. And there was a guy that had been on Alt Religion Scientology, which was their news group. That's all they had back then. They didn't have websites. And his name was Truth Seeker. And he was just writing lie after lie after lie about me for years. And I never even met either of these people, Barbara Schwartz or Truth Seeker. So now I send it over to Dave. In under 3 minutes, they call me back and they go, "You're not going to believe it." And I go, "What?" Because I kept saying, "This guy's got to be Osa." And everybody's like, "No, no, he's not." For the exact same, for a good time, call Tory was the Truth Seeker's computer address. They were the exact same computer. So I said, "What do I do?" And they said, "Call the police. It's a federal crime." So I called the Burbank police. The guy comes in. I explain fair game and what's going on. He writes a police report. We put it in Google and ARS and all over the place. And that guy vanished forever. That was it.
Wow. It's so much easier to get away with masking that kind of online activity these days, like with VPNs and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know what a VPN is.
It's a virtual proxy network. I mean, you can, for, you know, $6 a month or even $3 a month, you literally go on your computer. Like, they're advertised all over the place on YouTube. In fact, one of my first sponsors was a VPN, and you basically just using software, it kind of spoofs the location of your computer. So it'll make your computer look like it's just literally anywhere else in the world.
Wow.
And people use it to prevent their internet service providers from monitoring all their traffic. There's all sorts of security reasons to use a VPN, but it also makes it would make OSA's job much easier. And it's one of the reasons why I don't get worked up about a whole bunch of internet drama, or whether it is OSA or whether it isn't OSA, because I go, I'm going to ignore it anyway. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I didn't mean to be a total Debbie Downer right there at the end there. I was just meaning, it's just one of those things where, like, if someone goes, "Oh, is this person OSA? Is this person not OSA?" And I go, it wouldn't matter if they were or if they weren't. If all they're trying to do is tear down and divide and invalidate and distract, I'm going to ignore it anyway.
Right.
You know? And that doesn't mean, I mean, at the same time, I call out people that I feel like need to be called out, and people call me out as well. And I don't necessarily, like, you've never heard me call anyone who criticizes me OSA, because I just don't give a damn. I don't care if they're OSA or not OSA. It makes no difference to me.
The calling out on the net that's where you and I disagree. Because I think if you have a disagreement with someone, with anyone, it's better for you to call them. There's a better chance of you guys, you know, healing, mending fences if you talk.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I would never put something online that was just a private argument. The reason I call Chris Shelton out all the time, for example, is because I'm just using it. I won't get into all the details, but the reason I do, and I've never bothered explaining this to him because he's never called me, is I never called him out on my channel until I saw him shitting all over me on Reddit.
Right.
And I said, "Oh, you think that you can get away with this shit because you do it on somewhere other than your channel?" No, I got a huge audience, motherfucker. Yeah. And if you're going to be spreading vicious, hateful lies about me. Oh, and this is when we were still friends. We had never even had a falling out. Wow. I guess he got, you know, small man syndrome when everyone passed him with the size of their YouTube channels. All of a sudden, I saw like this 5,000 word dissertation from Chris Shelton on Reddit about what a terrible, disgusting, this was a couple years ago, a year or two ago. And I said, "Oh, you are such a fucking scumbag. I'm now going to take you. You think you're going to wage this battle on Reddit? We'll wage this battle on YouTube, you piece of shit." And now he's like, "Oh no, Aaron punches down on me." And it's like, what do you think about yourself that you call me criticizing you punching down? So, like, I just want to be clear. I have never taken what was just an offline problem and put it on the internet, because I'm not in favor of that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Because I agree. It's okay to disagree in private, and it's okay to work your shit out in private. And that's what, you know, real friends, or even just people who have professional courtesy. Maybe you're not friends, but you have professional courtesy with each other. I think everything should be resolved offline.
Yeah. My dad taught me the best lesson. He you know, he was like a football player. He was a quarterback. He played for the Chicago Cardinals. You know, he was like a big guy, strong guy, very courageous. And I always hung around with my brothers. I had 2 older brothers and their friends and some of my friends, and we hung around with them. But it was more of a guy thing, right? With us, these girls, and with the guys. And so my dad said, I'm going to teach you every sport that I teach them. So you're going to, and I can't, I mean, one time, you know, that place at the end of L. Ron Hubbard Way? Remember what I'm talking about. But at the end of L. Ron Hubbard Way, there's that parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the top, the Sea Org kids were up there. And I went up there and they were playing basketball. And I don't mean like young kids. These were like, you know, they were like 18, 19, but I still call them kids because they're young people, right? And they were playing basketball and they said, give me the ball. And I said, they looked at me and they went, you? And this is when I was in my 50s. And I said, yeah. And I bounced it once and I went like this backwards and dunked it. And they were like, I can't believe it that you did that. And I said, hey, my dad taught me everything. But my dad
said, 10-foot rim?
Huh?
On the 10-foot rim?
But I don't know. I didn't measure the rim. It was whatever.
Can you dunk?
Yeah.
On a 10-foot rim?
I don't know is that a joke? I don't know.
No, a 10-foot rim is the regulation height. I'm just imagining Tory flying through the air, just like
no. I wasn't flying through the air. I was standing, but I can do it backwards because we had a basketball hoop in our in our driveway, and we used to play basketball all the time.
Oh, you mean the ball went in the hoop?
Yeah, I dunked it.
Oh, okay. All right.
The ball went in the hoop, but I did it backwards. But that's pretty impressive. They couldn't do it backwards.
Oh, that is impressive. Yeah. I thought you were doing like a Michael Jordan the foul line behind the back. Boom.
No. But backwards is pretty impressive for a 53-year-old or 50-year-old.
Absolutely. You know, I'll tell you what.
Let me tell you the message my dad taught me.
Oh, yeah.
He said, here's the thing. There are bullies out there. And we lived in a really safe town. But he said, there are some bullies. And here's how you can tell the difference. Real people will always sit down at the table with you. You might disagree. They might disagree. You can agree to disagree. But talk it out, right? But bullies will never sit down at the table with you. And that's the difference. And that's what I realized right towards the end of Scientology. I realized they wouldn't sit down with me and talk.
Right.
Not really, not honestly. And you know that. They won't. They won't be honest. They just won't. They can't.
Yeah.
It's a hard time. So
it's true.
It's a good
you know, you had said earlier on that, I was saying that one of the reasons I was afraid to go and protest was I was like, oh no, they're going to think that of me, what I used to think of protesters. And you said, no, it's different for me. And so you told your whole story on how you actually went out and you were the one who, like, you understood these guys, you knew how to talk to them, you knew how to approach them, and you were actually effective in kind of making them go away.
Right.
And so, and then I wanted to talk to you about, well, no, I feel like we did talk about like the purpose, because you're out there with the protesters almost every night. It seems like you're out there.
No, I'm not. But I'm out there. I go, when I go, I'm not every night for sure.
Yeah.
But,
I remember one of the things that, one of the stories that
kind to me, I will say these guys are super kind to me. They're way kinder than Scientology ever was, ever. I mean, think about it. I have a hard time getting around. I have balance issues. I have plantar fasciitis in the bottom of my feet. So, they know it and they help me and they never put me down. Scientology put me down every day for 30 years. You know who Robert Vaughn is?
I know the name.
He used to write for Freedom Magazine and then he left. He was married to Stacey Young. You know Stacey.
Okay.
And then they lived on an island. And anyway, long story short, she met Bob Minton and they got together and that was that. But Robert called me every single night. His nickname is Vaughn. And he called me every single night saying, I'm really worried about you. This is like an abusive relationship where women go back to abusive men. And I said, okay, listen to me carefully. Saying to me that I'm going to go back into Scientology is the same as saying to a Jew, we're worried you're going to go back in those concentration camps.
This is a conversation Robert was having with you when you were both out of Scientology?
Out of, yeah. I had escaped.
And And was he saying that you were like too fixated and obsessed with doing Scientology activism?
No, he was just worried. He was just worried that I was going to go back in. He was just worried that I was going to go back in. I wasn't even being much of an activist at the time.
Oh, he just
honestly, okay, you got out, but a lot of these people get out and then they go back. And I said, not me. No. And my thing was this: I was on ARS with all the critics, and to me, it was like I was trying to swim up Niagara Falls for 30 years. That's what it felt like. It was just that difficult. It just nothing worked for me because I was supposed to handle epilepsy. You can't get rid of epilepsy.
No. I mean, when you said you were on ARS, you mean as a critic or as a Scientology spy?
Well, it was sort of like I was in between. I had left OSA because they turned on me. I don't know if you know that story, but they turned on me and threw me under the bus. So I was like, fuck you guys. So now I went on ARS just kind of as Miss Magoo 55. That was my name. And I was too afraid to read anything because I thought of this person that I thought was nearly gone insane because of reading the internet. So I wouldn't read it. So I was just making all these knucklehead posts. And see, now I forgot what I was talking about. What was the beginning of it?
Shit, I forgot too, Tori. We had a double whammy.
That's where somebody has to remember because I can't remember. I'll ask my.
Well, for some reason, you mentioned Robert Vaughn Young, but I can't remember why you mentioned Robert Vaughn Young. I just can't remember why.
I was saying it was like swimming up Niagara Falls, and the critics said, we will give you an inner tube and you can just slide down. And I mean, that was the analogy, and I just zoomed out and I was like, wow, this was like night and day difference. Where they have been helpful to me all along. So it's like I have friends who go, why are you in touch with these people? You don't even know them.
I remember why, because you were saying that all the protesters are so nice to you and Scientology was mean to you every single day. And then you mentioned Robert calling you and saying it was like an abusive relationship and that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah. Me saying it.
Hey, how about we tackle some of these comments and super chats? Sound like a good idea? You got a little bit of time?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, good. Christian B, thank you for gifting a channel membership. Sushi Full, welcome as a new member. Lori Plays, one of my fantastic moderators, says, I love to see how the younger crowd has wrapped themselves around Tori and show her such respect and help her out with techie stuffs.
Me too. They have been wonderful. They really have.
Let's see. I'm going to run through all the super chats and then I'm going to come back and get all the other comments that the lovely Barb, SPTV Tattoo Warrior, has starred for us. Lori Plays says, Tori is a national treasure. Here are my dues. See, they're paying their cult dues for Aaronites. Well, they're Aaronites. Yes. Eat More Pizza Now, one of my other moderators, says, for a new computer for Miss Tori.
Ah, that's nice. Thank you.
There you go. And Jilly Beans, thank you for the super sticker. And DDT Shoots, Tori, terrific, great conversation. She's so perceptive. Thank you, AA Ron.
Thank you.
Oh, and guys, before I don't want to forget to promote Tori's channel again. If you're not already subscribed to Tori, you can find her at Tory Magoo 44.
Yeah, a bunch of you guys come subscribe. OSA hates it when my subscriptions go up. They do. They really do.
Joni Cummings says, I can tell you for a fact, Tori, that you are thinking of the Amish, not the Mormons, when you say they leave for a while and then they come back. I have knowledge. Yeah, that part, that's definitely the Amish.
Okay.
Okay. SPTV Tattoo Warrior with a big super chat here says, I have an idea. Let's fund Tori's computer and microphone and lights right here today.
Oh my God.
And then she wrote it again. She had a great idea twice. Barb's in the back saying, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Tattoo Warrior said that?
Do you see in the bottom, I've got SPTV Tattoo Warrior down there?
Yeah.
That's Barb.
That's Barb?
That's Barb. She's the one who did the super chat.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
She's the best. Windy City Thetan Watch is in the house.
Oh, I love Windy City Thetan Watch. I love that. I'm from there. I grew up in Chicago.
computer and audio upgrade.
Ah.
Thank you, Windy City Think and Watch. Nicholas says, this is an amazing conversation. Tory for president 2024.
I never remember everything to do it. It wouldn't work. Thank you.
You know, the competition's not that stiff in that regard. So, oh, okay. Irrelevant Panda says Tory has PayPal and Venmo links on her profile. Let's buy her a computer so Google doesn't take 30% from the super chats. I just sent her some money.
All right. Thank you, Irrelevant Panda.
There you go. Yeah. So on Tory's YouTube channel, when it says Linktree and 4 more links, you can find her payment profiles there, and we can have Laura or DOA or Jessica come over and help you with your setup, Tory.
It has PayPal, CashLink, and Venmo are all on there. They helped me with that already.
Heck yeah! For a good time call, Tory's Cash Apps. Napoleon in Rags says, does anyone else here remember the protests with Anand Sparrow? I sure hope so. He was a bit of a hero back in the day.
Not I.
You don't remember Anand Sparrow, or did you not?
I remember him very well. He was not a hero in my universe.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Whole different story, whole different thing.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Not a streamer, bro, is saying exactly what I was thinking myself. OSA does those tactics both on Reddit and in the YouTube chat, and it is shared cross-platform. It is all about division.
Exactly.
And guys,
Thank you.
I'll be perfectly honest. That is why I delete and ban people who just bring bullshit into my live chat. Yeah. It's my channel. It's my space. It's my audience. Go be an asshole somewhere else. Right. Go to Reddit. Go to Discord. Go to Facebook. I don't care, but this is my space, and you don't get to dirty it up. You can go dirty up other spaces, but you do see this on Reddit and Discord. You'll have, first of all, you got people who got 5 or 6 different profiles, and they go in, and if they have some big giant shitty post they want to make, they'll just post the exact same thing in every group, and they'll post the exact same comment, and they'll do it with all their profiles. And that's why I don't have any time or patience for it. I don't care if it's OSA. I don't care if it's not OSA. It's all bullshit to me. And
I get it, but you are an opinion leader for a lot of people that listen to you, and I want them to be educated on what they can do. You know, if they're in a, like I said, if you're in anything where you're talking about something important, and then somebody distracts off of it, just repost the hot topic. You know, just do that. And as far as the division, we both agree, talk to them individually. Don't get all this shit going on the internet. It just doesn't help anyone.
Absolutely. And I think what I'm about to say, I think actually Not a Streamer Bro says it again here. Aaron, people do need to be aware that those people do need to be aware of those tactics, as they aren't just about streamer versus streamer. They're to influence viewers with a goal of destroying streamers one by one using seemingly brief put downs, etc. I totally agree.
Bingo. That's it.
I totally agree.
Thank you. That's it.
I totally agree. And so I'll lay it down like this. I'll put it right out there in the open. I will stop criticizing Chris Shelton if he will stop acting like an unhinged maniac on Reddit and Discord and just criticizing everyone. I mean, Chris Shelton just disconnected from Apostate Alex because Apostate Alex sat down and talked with Nora and Liz. Chris, if you will just stick to doing Scientology content and stop being hateful and divisive, I will never mention your name again. So it's up to you, bro. Okay? All right.
Because there's no purpose in it. The only
but Tory, without dragging you into it, let me at least ask your opinion on this. Like you said, I do have a big platform. I do have a lot of people who care what my opinion is about this or that. When there's someone in our community who is pretending that they're just above all the drama, but the behind the scenes and in smaller places of the internet that aren't YouTube, they are just fueling the drama. I feel like I need people in my community to know that that's who that person is.
I understand. I am not. That's why I'm, you know, it's like I totally understand what happened. And I'm not saying that what you did was wrong. I'm just saying a better way for everybody. And certainly the viewers who don't know shit about any of this is to keep doing what both of you do. Like Chris used to be good at, I never read his site that much, but I heard he was good at educating people about Scientology. I heard that. And so why not go in that route? You know what I mean? Instead of against you. I mean, I
Sure.
talked to him personally once, months ago, and I said, look, stop, putting Aaron down. This is stupid. It's like, well, if you're a friend of Aaron's, you're not a friend of mine. That's stupid.
That's right. He put that on Facebook. He said, if anyone supports Aaron in any way, unfriend me on Facebook. And I said, bro, our channels used to be the same size.
Right.
I don't lose my right to criticize you just because your channel doesn't get any views and mine does. I can criticize you all day. You want to be a pain in my ass? I'll be a bigger pain in your ass, because you know what? I can walk and chew gum at the same time. I can do videos about what a useless piece of shit you are, and I can do 10 other videos about how terrible Scientology is. It's no skin off my back.
No, I hear you. I do. I hear you. But I think a better one would be if he should call you up and get in touch with you. You know what I mean? And just iron it out and just go your own ways or whatever, but get back. You're continuing to expose and interview people, and you have to let me try to interview you, because remember my thing long ago was to I've spent 4 years trying to learn how to do the split screen thing so I can interview people. But I don't know how to do it yet. And so I've got to try it. And I think it's easier. That's what someone told me. They said the software is a lot easier.
Well, the truth is, what we're doing right now, like, in other words, you've already figured it out. You just don't know that you know it yet.
Yeah, but it's part of StreamYard.
It's
right?
part of StreamYard. Yes, exactly.
Okay. So
Keela McDonald, thank you for gifting 5 channel memberships. That's amazing. Not a streamer, bro. Look at you, bro. Divert, distract, complicate, confuse, persuade equals division for goal of destruction.
Good.
I agree.
Good.
I do agree. Keela McDonald says, Tori, I really love you, and I thank you for everything. Aaron, you are always right on point. Thank you so much. My pearls. Thank you. Max Redstone says, Chicago natives represent Northside Go Cubs for the next billion years.
I'm there. I grew up in Park Ridge.
Not a streamer, bro, says there are many paths and approaches, and some resonate with one and some do not. If they don't, oh well, might with another. Yeah.
Good.
I like that.
That's true.
I like that. Okay, so Confident Chris is in the house. Torytology. Tori, that would be an amazing name for your channel, actually. Actually, look, I'm going to be a little YouTube coach for you right now. Tory Magoo 44 is fine for your handle. Your handle is at Tory Magoo 44, but it's actually terrible for the name of a YouTube channel.
No, I know that. I just don't know how to change it.
Oh, we can help you with that.
Okay. Because
you can change it to whatever you want, and change it to whatever you want. But Torytology is a pretty badass YouTube name.
But it doesn't say anything about Scientology.
It does with the tology.
We'll
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All right, we'll figure it out afterward. Thank you.
Oh, check this out. Kelly BC says, back when Tori and Mark were protesting, YouTube would only allow videos under 10 minutes.
Right. That's how all my videos are really short, because of that. I didn't know that you could do these long videos. Wow.
Just a Northern Girl says, and this is coming from Aaron, who used to have to run to turn his lights back on. Every single video, one of my lights would go out, and I would jump up and grab a spare battery and swap it out and sit back down.
Funny.
Yeah. For like a year, when the cord that I needed to plug them in cost like $3, and it just never occurred to me to go get a cord.
The old days, you just go, oh my God. It's
Marilyn Honig says, love this pair. And Mike Brown is in the house. Tori is a legend.
Hi, Mike. I never met him yet. I want to meet him.
And George Massey says, look like we have a full house with all the best people in the chat.
That's right. God.
And let's see, Sharon Thibodeau. So glad the Scientology mission in Milwaukee, Wisconsin is shut down for good.
All right. Yay, from Milwaukee. Good.
Irrelevant Panda says Tori's channel is not yet monetized, but her PayPal and her Venmo are in her profile. Tori, it should be a relatively easy thing to get your channel monetized, especially if you've been out there with the protesters all the
I've had
time.
4 people come and try to work on it. I think part of the problem is this computer. I do.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll fix that problem.
Where it gets hung up is AdSense. That's where it gets hung up.
Okay. All right. Lalaboo. Tori is OG. I watched her first on YouTube. I love her honesty and her positivity.
Thank you.
Speaking of OGs, when are you and Mark Bunker going to do a chat together?
That's a good point. I think, well, he's reposting all those old videos that we did in 2000, and everyone's loving those. So those are good for now. And then he's probably the first person I'll interview with the split screen. I'll try it. I'm really terrified.
Okay, good. Look, what we're gonna get what computer, mic, lights, earbuds, and then we're gonna get someone out there to hook all your stuff up, get it hardwired into the internet. Mark Bunker's in the house. Magooski.
Monkey. Monkey.
And yeah, because actually, I think you just reminded me. Just for the viewers, her channel has qualified for monetization. It's just no one's been able to figure out how to help her get through the steps of getting the AdSense connected. That's my understanding. Or no, is that wrong?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've had 4 people who know computer shit, and they get the AdSense and it just gets stuck. And it's like,
all I'm saying is that YouTube wouldn't even be asking you for the AdSense stuff if your channel had not actually qualified for monetization. So that's speaking from experience. So you've qualified for it. It just hasn't been activated.
and
So
how
we'll
do
figure it out.
I don't know how to do that.
Allison Perez says, oh my God, it's Tori. I've watched so many of your videos and I believed your story from the first time I heard you speak. Much love and light to you.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you. So great to hear all these people.
Anna says, what are the biggest changes you witnessed in Scientology over the 30 years that you were in? Like changes in morality, changes in the organization, or what have you?
The biggest was Miscavige. It really was. I was there the night L. Ron Hubbard supposedly took off because he had to go, he had to do higher research. And I thought, who the fuck is this guy? He's like some little shrimp. He comes onto the stage. They had announced that it was going to be Pat and Annie Broker. That's who L. Ron Hubbard wanted to change. And then Miscavige zipped in, and everybody was like, don't ask, don't tell. I said, who the fuck is this guy? They said, don't ask, don't tell. And then right away, they came up with the finance police. I don't know if you were around for that, but it was like these guys that were literally like police, and they would come around and declare people SPs and send them to flag and all this other shit. It was a mess. And it just went from bad to worse to worse. I mean, it's like now they have no missions. They got rid of all the missions. They got rid of the briefing course. It's gone. That's their biggest course. They got rid of it. They don't have the class 8 course. It's like auditing is nothing anymore. They flipped around the whole grid chart. And I talked to Dylan Gill about this, and he acknowledged it. I was on course when it used to be a triangle. And you probably remember too. It was like this, right? It was like at, missions, and then class 4 orgs, and then class 5 orgs, and then ASHO, and then way at the top were the OT levels and management, with really LRH. It was just LRH. That was it. A little bit of management. Now it's totally flipped around where it goes like this. It's wide, and this came on in the 90s, and it's all the way down. It's the channels of Scientology, I think it's called. And they switched it so it's admin, 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 and then way down at this little triangle is the tech.
Oh, you're talking about the command channels book. You're talking about the command channels of Scientology booklet. Right. Oh, and you're right. There's this huge huge structure, like RTC and WDC and INT, and then middle management and continental management, and then the orgs are way at the bottom.
Way at the bottom, the little triangle is the orgs. You know, it's
So
like
I never saw the earlier version of that depiction
Yeah.
of the Scientology command structure. I'd never seen the earlier one.
Oh, wow. Well, it used to be, you know, it was all tech.
It actually looked like it was actually a pyramid.
Yeah, and it was really like Hubbard at the top with a little bit of management. That was it. And now look at it.
Interesting.
And that's the biggest change I've seen. And Miscavige has fucked it up over and over and over. And I've told you for 24 years now what to do, what you could do. And it's a simple thing. Stop being a religion because you know you're not, and nobody likes you as a religion. And get rid of all the fair game and the mean things that you do. Stop the abuses. Stop ripping people off. You actually need to pay every single person back for the money that you have on account, that they have on account, that's a savings account that you owe them. You have to pay that back and connect up all the families, every single parent, every single child with them. I don't care if they say they don't want to. You forwarded that and you declared people. You declared me without ever doing an ethics anything on me. You just, she's declared SP. And guess what? I have my SP declared. Which
I'm jealous. I never got one. Well, I was never shown
nobody did. I got it because Jesse Prince said, yeah, nobody gets them. And I said, I'm going to get it. And look, I came home and went to look for my receipts and they were gone. And so I called Flag and I said, I want a finance. And they said, who is this? And I said, Tory Magoo, which was my married name. They put me right through to this girl and she goes, do you want to know why you're talking to the Continental Justice Chief? And I said, yeah, why am I talking to the Continental Justice Chief? And she said, because you're declared suppressive. And I said, well, you know what? And I really wanted this product and I got it. I said, you might be too young to know this policy, but if it isn't in writing, L. Ron Hubbard said, it isn't true. And she goes, I'll have your SP declared to you within 24 hours. And I said, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And here it is.
That's wild.
And it says her only terminal is the IJC via the Continental Justice Chief, and they've never talked to me in 24 years.
Well, there you go. Okay, Mark Bunker says, I got Tory set up with AdSense. They're supposed to be mailing her a code, which will allow her to put in her banking info so that she can get paid. All right. We're getting there one step at a time.
Yeah.
Here's another question from Anna. What's the difference, or what are any differences between the current protests and the protests from back in the days of the Lisa McPherson Trust?
Well, social media, really. Like street, you know who Streets LA is?
Of course.
Anyway, he said to me, really, what's going to get Scientology to go away is social media. That's it. That's more than anything else. That's what's going to do it. And I think if we get rid of their tax exemption, they're going to be annihilated. But we can get that done by social media, because we can get all the people that have YouTube sites to get everyone in their YouTube site to fill out this form. And I have it somewhere. I'll send it to you, Aaron, but I have it. And if you fill it out, my friend who's a CPA and really knows this and is a critic, and she said, Tory, if everybody fills out this form, that's it. They're toast. Okay. Invest.
Just before I forget, because I just think it's such a great idea. Can you talk to Jessica about doing some content with these cards that you're handing out, telling people their life is in danger?
Okay.
It will be so funny. Jessica knows how to make anything funny, and it's already funny. So whatever she does with it will be amazing.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want her to do it with me or by herself?
Whatever she thinks is funniest.
All right.
Like if she records you doing it, that's pretty freaking funny. But whatever. It's like, it's just the idea is amazing. Okay, one more there. Well, there's a lot more questions, but Avery Mama says, Tory, why do you think you have such a different approach to the new wave of protesters as opposed to some of the other older generation ex-Scientologists? I love seeing you hanging out with Jay.
I have never had a thing on age. I just never have. I don't know if it's from my parents, probably is, but I just have always been happy, and my brothers are the same way, you know, where we, especially David, but we, you know, my one brother is a DJ around the world. They fly him all around the world. He knows everybody. And it's just sort of like he hangs around with a lot of 20-year-olds too. We both have this similar thing. And I just think we get along with people. I don't have a thing where you're too young or you're too old or something like that. I don't have that.
All right, let me ask the question again. Why do you think you have such a different approach to the new wave of protesters as opposed to some of the older generation ex-Scientologists?
Didn't I just answer that?
No.
I didn't?
No, I'm asking you the same question again because I feel like you got thrown off when I said love seeing you hanging out with Jay. They're not asking why do you like hanging out with young people?
Well, why do I have a different approach? Because I think my different approach in general, it doesn't matter whether it's this guy's anonymous, whatever it is, because Scientology sent me out to handle critics years ago. I think I have a different, like, I know how they are inside and I know how they are outside. Do you see what I mean? Whereas most people do not. You don't.
Let me ask this slightly different way.
Okay.
Why do you think you seem to actually enjoy and appreciate and have affinity for the new wave of protesters, where a lot of other older ex-Scientologists think that they're horrible, disgusting, abusive people who aren't helping anyone?
Really? Did they think that?
Let's pretend that they do.
Okay. I would say again, you know, first of all, I've been a protester since 2000. A lot of people have not. A lot of the older people may have been online, but they're not protesters. Some of them came out with anonymous, but that was it. My friends, I have about 6 friends that I said, look, because Scientology and anonymous would always let people know where they were. So Scientology would set up barriers for them. So I said, look, let's just start flash picketing. And we started doing that, where we'd go off and do flash picketing, and it would freak them out because they weren't ready for us. They didn't know we were. But I'm a person, I like to be on the street. I like people. So I don't have that, like, I've got my business, I'm busy, I don't have time for that stupid stuff. You know, whereas I do think a lot of people do have that. I think a lot of ex-Sea Org are still in the Sea Org in many different ways. You know, where they'll say, well, I was the CMO of the Commodore's Messengers. And I'm like, who fucking cares? It's 2024. You know, come up to present time. Do you know what I mean? It's one thing if you're saying, what is your story? You know what I mean? Like, how did you begin? How did you get up? You know, that kind of thing. I get it. But when it's just sort of like, hi, Tory, I was a commanding officer of something. It's like, really? It's 2024 and that's how you're going to introduce yourself? And this happens all the time. I'm telling you.
I totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it.
Think I don't have that. I never did. They were always like, you're a degraded being. And I'm like, okay, I'm out with the critics. I love them. They don't have that shit. Do you know what I mean? They don't. People still, I can't tell you how many ex-Sea Org have gone, oh, that's right. You were just public. They say that. And these are dear friends of mine. And they'll go, oh, that's right. You were just public. And I finally, a couple of them, I said, stop saying that. It's as bad as when I was in Scientology and they thought I was a degraded being. It's like,
I'll tell you, one of the first times that, because honestly, as someone who was always in
the difference on that before you go on.
Totally.
Did that answer it?
Oh, absolutely. No, that was an excellent answer. You know, because I was never really a public and I was always staff for Sea Org, the first time I felt like I truly, truly appreciated the living hell that public are subjected to was probably when I saw Kathy Schenkelberg's play Squeeze My Hands.
Right.
And we hung out a bit afterwards and I said, you know, I don't think I'd ever even given much thought to the absolute hell public are put through. Because I was just never in the part of the organization that was responsible for making those people's lives hell, which is basically the fundraisers, the ethics officers, and the fundraisers.
Right. And most of the videos online, a lot of them, like think of Leah and Mike, they were all interviewing, and they were fantastic interviews, but they're mostly Sea Org kids, right? That had grown up in the Sea Org. So people think if I had $1 for every time somebody who knew nothing about Scientology said, well, were you on the RPF, Tory? How would I be on the RPF? They kicked me out after 2 months because I needed medicine for epilepsy. No,
Right.
the public are not on the RPF.
All right. Lightheart.
Only do Sea Org, they don't know that.
It's true. It's true. And it's hard to expect people to have a deep knowledge of Scientology. You know, I mean, unless you've been involved with it, it's hard to. But honestly, there's so many people. Go ahead.
It's not deep. Look at me. There's Sea Org and there's public. That's it. It's a triangle with
Don't forget staff. Don't forget staff.
Well, Sea Org staff and public. I was staff also.
What about the FSMs? Where do they count?
They're public.
Okay. What about Narconon staff?
They're staff.
What about mission staff?
You know, all the staff, all the people that are in the org are on that thing. Yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying, but
I'm just busting your balls.
But I'm just saying nobody talks about the public, and I see what you're saying. So I think because I volunteered all the time, I did as much as the Sea Org or more on a lot of shit. Right. I got a lot of stuff done. So I'm sort of like in between there. I always used to say I'm on the bridge next to the bridge to total freedom. Because people would say, how can you take medicine and be in Scientology? And I'd say, because I'm on the bridge next to the bridge to total freedom.
There you go. Okay, this one is from Lightheart 2008. I met Tory years ago when my pet cult tried to stifle speech on Usenet.
Oh, I hope I know.
And Jilly Bean says, I love Tory. She was one of the first channels I found years ago that talked about Scientology, and I loved her sense of humor.
Ah, thank you.
Where? Let me see. Oh, what's that? Is that a moose?
It's Mr. Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Mr.
And
Anonymous.
what flag is that? Is that Norwegian flag? What is that?
Yeah, he's a Norwegian moose.
Look at me. I grew up in a cult, but I know my flags.
Good for you, Aaron.
James Dean says, I was Anon in 2008. It's been many years since I scrutinized Scientology. Good to see that you're live in 2024, Tory.
Thank you. I know. It's amazing. It is. It really is. And you know, the interesting thing is, see, you know how to do this, where you do all the, you know, here's Hamed, here's this, you know, here's the person. I don't know how to do that. So I was sort of like, okay, I'm done. I can't do it. And Jessica was the one. My friend Andrew called me up and he goes, go on TikTok. I said, Andrew, you know I don't do TikTok. He goes, go on TikTok and type in Jessica Palmadessa. And I did. And I went, oh my God, she is, you know, she is way above their league. Do you know what I mean? Like they were in her face going, you know, bop, 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 bop. And she was going, do you think I'm intimidated by this? I love this. I have 20 million followers and they're all watching you right now. And then she walked into the testing center and I thought, oh my God. So she was the one I said, you got to come over and help me because I wanted to get started on it. And she goes, you don't need all that shit. Because I told her, I said, that's why I stopped. She goes, you don't need that. Just tell your stories.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, Cricket Cinema says, is there anyone you remember from your time in Scientology that you go, I wonder what happened to blank?
Only 100,000.
I know, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's not any. I mean, all the time I wonder about my ex-husband. He divorced me and stayed in, but I'm like, I wonder about him. Is he okay? You know, you know, no one will tell me, so I don't know. Maybe you could find out, Aaron.
Yeah.
Do you remember his name? Harold Bazazian.
Harold Bazazian.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let me actually, just for fun, I'm going to write it down and I'll see if I can do something. So you don't even know if he's alive?
I don't. I'm pretty sure he's alive because I think my son would tell me if he died.
Oh, okay. All right. Goodness me. I'm in a cult of Nora. Says, walked by a Scientology recruiter site in 1986. I was 17 years old. Everything in my body yelled, run.
Good.
There's some questions in here that are a little deep, like would be a whole conversation. So I'm skipping some of these here. Okay. SPTV Inc. says, digital activism sample letter to a U.S. rep about Scientology's tax exempt status on my community page. That's actually a really big help because once we get into this summer season, we're going to be really going hot and heavy on the getting all candidates and incumbents for the House of Representatives to go on the record as to whether they would support a hearing into Scientology's tax exempt status. And we're gonna ride that horse hard.
Good. Well, tell me what to say and I'll do it too.
Awesome. Let's see. Philosophy says, Tory explains the tactics so well. We would do well to remember that these psychological warfare tactics never change. They just get better at hiding it with love bombing.
Right.
Amber Vanass. Amber and I are going to be doing a chat on my channel soon. She says, I'm a second generation and I made sure that it stopped with me. My kids will never be in.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. Petty Lane says, what age was the youngest person you audited?
I don't think I ever audited any young people. I audited adults. I audited people that were at least 30 or 40 years old. That's why for me, this whole younger kid thing, the only thing I knew about kids was on OT7, mothers would say, well, this planet is now being run by our kids. You know, they were like, their kids were in the Sea Org, so they were proud that their kids were running the planet. That was the most.
Did I miss the part? Wait, were you posted as an auditor, or is this something you did during auditor training? When were you auditing people? Were you a posted auditor?
Yeah, I was on staff at Celebrity Center, NSO, non-Sea Org.
Oh.
And I was on staff at AOLA because CC canceled the NSO program. So then I went to CC and I was an NSO auditor. Well, first I was CC and then I went over to AOLA and I was an NSO auditor there after I married my husband and he was the solo course supervisor. And then I got pregnant and so we both left.
What class auditor were you?
5.
Oh, okay. So you're doing like OT preps at AOLA?
Well, I did a lot of it at CC. I
said OT preps, like, because AO's an AO. So were you doing OT preps or something?
Well, we're talking about me auditing. So you mean, are you saying? Well,
you weren't auditing OT5 because you're not a class 9, but so
no. It's at AO. They were all people that were Dianetic clears, but that had not come out yet. And so they were flown in from other orgs and said, don't worry about it. You just have to fly in, do a quick session, and then you can go on your OT levels. Excuse me. So I had come from CC, where everybody loved auditing. And now I'm over at AO, where these people are seriously ARC broken, upset. Because they are having to pay Celebrity Center rates to stay in a hotel and get audited on shit that they had said, don't worry about it. You don't even have to, you're ready to go clear.
I get it.
And they're like, I don't want to do this. I'm ready to go clear. And so my whole thing was just flying roods with these people, trying to keep them okay. It was awful. It was really awful.
I get it. Miss Kim says the lights are why I love YouTube and don't watch TV. And Lethanda Grauklinger, this is such a great stream. 2 legends talking. Legend. That's how I'll greet you from now on. Legend. Oh, I love this one. Amy. Oh, Amy 27. Tory was SPTV before SPTV was cool.
True.
Cassie says, give Tory her $1 million, Miscavige.
Yes, yes, Miscavige. Listen to these people.
Is that what you donated over the years?
No, they just owe it to me from buying all the stuff that I bought. You know, they owe me. You know,
it.
Hubbard, see, in a policy, he says if they don't want to stay in Scientology, get rid of them and give them their money back. That's it. That's in writing. It probably
well, that's what he said, but he was a do as I say and not as I do kind of guy. You know, the whole reason the Australian Inquisition, not Inquisition, when Scientology, what did they call it in Australia? The Inquisition is the wrong word. When Scientology was banned in Australia, that all started because L. Ron Hubbard refused to give a guy in Australia his money back, and that guy was a dog without a dog, and he would not let that go. I'm just saying, you know, sometimes I wonder, how has the culture, okay, let's talk about this. Let's chew on this for a quick second. Miscavige is clearly someone who in his heart of hearts knows he doesn't have to follow policy, which depending on how you define it, makes him not a real Scientologist, because a real Scientologist thinks you're supposed to follow policy. Miscavige doesn't give a damn about policy or tech. He does whatever he wants, right? And there's a part of me that's always gone, how did the culture at the top of Scientology get to such a state where the culture itself is permissive of not actually following what L. Ron Hubbard said, even though all Scientologists are supposed to follow what L. Ron Hubbard said? And I think the answer to the question is because the people at the very, very top know that who worked with L. Ron Hubbard, that he didn't follow his own fucking rules. So it created a culture where, the rules are just for the little people. We don't really follow them. And that's kind of how L. Ron Hubbard himself behaved. He actually created the culture at the top of the org board where they pretty much just do whatever the hell they want. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's true. I think it's true as far as the people at the top, but most people aren't. Most of them have left, right?
Right.
So then you go, okay, they're not there anymore. So why is it still going like that? And it's kind of like, yes, the other thing Hubbard did, though, that I realized right before I left is everything that he writes that's all black, he has another policy that says it's all white. True. So it just depends on whatever fucking situation you're in. It's like Aaron's an SP. Wait a minute. Aaron's the greatest guy on earth. Tory's an SP. Wait a minute. Follow Tory. She knows what she's doing. Do you see what I mean? And so it's sort of like he set it up so he had policy to handle either one. And I think you're right. Probably way at the top, they didn't give a shit at all. That I don't know because I can't speak about it and I wasn't there, except being a public OT7 and knowing what a mess that was. And that was from Miscavige. That was from him. I mean, and I never finished my thing about the basic books. Remember I told you the basic books came in and it was a test?
Oh, yeah.
But the test was because he knew in order to be a real religion, in order for Scientology to be thought of as a real religion, which is one of their major goals, they have to get rid of some of the LRH quotes. There's just too much shit that's in those green and red volumes. And I said that years ago. I said, this is a test so they can get rid of the green and red volumes and, strip them off and make it all sound much better. There'll still be the tech, but the really shitty stuff, the N-word and stuff like that, that's going to be gone. And then
wait, you saw the N-word in the policy volumes?
Yeah.
I remember, recently.
The term WOG, and you know the term WOG, right?
Yeah.
That's an African put down on
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Do you think they're getting rid of the word WOG from the policy letters?
I have no idea, but I know it's going to be different.
Wouldn't that be amazing if they did? That would be so unbelievable if we found that out. Guys, someone's got to leak us a version of the new policy volumes. How come we haven't seen a picture of the new volumes? We haven't even heard of them trying to get everyone to buy these damn things.
They're probably not out yet. They're probably still writing them and trying to get it so that it sounds enough like Scientology that that people won't flip out.
It didn't even occur to me that they might have started firing back these command teams and announced the golden age of admin, and they haven't even re-released
Oh,
the new
yeah.
volumes.
That's
Someone
how stupid
I
they are.
haven't even asked my under the radar sources about this. I just assumed that this was happening.
No,
Um,
no, we
all
would
right,
hear
I need some intel. I need some intel.
that they're on the intel.
All right, Worst Nightmare says we all love Tory.
Oh, thank you.
And Wallflower says emails with Tory back in 2007, back in 2007 helped me not get brainwashed.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy. It's ironic because I got in Scientology with the purpose to help people. That was it. I wanted to become an auditor and help people. And I really never helped anybody in Scientology. And now that I'm out, I've helped thousands of people. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah. That's awesome. Not a streamer, bro, says people who think clout chasers can't help end destructive Scientology practices greatly underestimate their potential. However, a clout chaser can have negative intent towards some streamers. Yes, that's
Can
true.
you tell me what a cloud chaser is?
That's someone who's just looking for well, clout is like prestige and visibility and look at me, I'm important. So someone who's clout chasing is always trying to pick,
Wait. I didn't know it was clout. I
Yeah.
always thought it was cloud. CLOU, cloud. Like a
cloud chaser.
So every time they call Chris a cloud chaser, I think they're talking about he chases clouds.
But Chris is like the opposite of a clout chaser.
I know.
Because because someone who does their own thing, like Chris is out there by himself all the time. A clout chaser would be someone who's always just trying to pop up into the stream of someone who's much bigger than them, just to try to, be like, look at me, I'm with this person. It's someone, it's like a fame. Oh, you know what? This is not a perfect analogy, but the term a star fucker.
Right.
It's like the internet version of that.
Once I looked and saw cloud, I went, okay. That was my answer.
Oh my goodness, we got Phil Jones in the chat. I've experienced Phil goes, I've experienced what Tory is saying as a public in my years of Scientology.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah. Let me see. This is Philosophy says, oh my God, the footage of Tory when she's still in trying to handle Mark Bunker is priceless. When they lost her, they lost their best. I am embarrassed to say I might not have ever seen this footage.
Really? You've got it.
I didn't know there was footage of you trying to handle Mark Bunker when you were in.
You never. Oh yeah, there's a few videos of me.
That's amazing.
Well, you saw Magoo dancing in Boston, right?
I can't say it rings a bell.
You've got to Google Magoo dancing in Boston. That's the best video of me in and out.
Is it on your channel?
I think so, but it's just Google it. It comes up right away. Just type it in right now. It'll come up right away.
Okay,
Magoo,
what are the words I should use?
Magoo, Magoo, dancing in Boston.
Oh, I got it. There it is.
See?
Okay, are you ready? Because I'm going to share this.
That's me and Bunker.
I'm going to share this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is on your channel.
Yeah, just play the first minute and you'll see.
Okay.
That's the guy that asked me about the books. That's the guy.
Okay, are you actually dancing though?
No, not yet, but you'll see I do.
I thought you were going to be dancing in this video. Oh, this like verbally dancing?
See, look at how quickly he switched it to I'm out. See, that's me out. Showing
okay.
Jackson's book.
Well, here, let me go. Okay. So 1990. Oh, that is right outside the Celebrity Center. Check it out.
Right. And that guy I'm talking to is the guy that said, if you're free, why can't you read certain books?
That was him?
That's him.
Oh, and now you're reading the book.
Well,
that's what it cuts to.
Now I'm out. I don't think Mark knew that was the guy. He just thought I was out handling critics.
And that's Stacy, right?
Yeah, look at her face.
And is that the book that you couldn't read before, but you're reading it now?
No, it's
Or
Steve
one of them?
Heston's book. It's just a book that we had. We were going, I don't know. I had that book. I didn't buy that book. Stacy gave it to me.
Oh, there's the dance. Is that the dance?
Yeah. That's just me. You know, it's just a bunch of goofy things that
That's
were
a
up at
satanic
Bob Newton's
seance.
house in New Hampshire there.
That's Bob, right? That's Bob.
That's Bob and Stacy.
Yeah, okay. And they're up hugging trees.
Yep. There I am dancing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was promised dancing in Boston, and I thought I was going to get dancing in Boston, but I guess I'll have to get over it. That's okay.
Oh, come on. I was dancing a little bit.
Can you believe that we've been going for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. I guess time doesn't fly. I mean, okay.
We've been having a good time. I think we've been having a good time. It's been a good interview.
2 hours just flew by. I can't believe it's been 2 hours.
I know.
All right. Well, this was super awesome. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got a chance to do this.
Me too.
And let me one more time before we wrap it up, just show everyone, if you're not yet subscribed to Tory Magoo, find her there. And if you want to help her upgrade her tech life, then you can support her in these 4 more links. She's got her her donation things there.
Yeah.
And I'll send you some of the super chat love that people sent to me for your computer stuff, since that's why.
Thank you.
I'll send that over to you as well.
Thank you. It's really been fun. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
I love.
if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.